We were at SBC, and I was in this play. It was a stupid play. It was called On the Mountain or some. I can't even remember. And it's funny. I didn't even. I mean, I really liked it, and I wanted to love it, but I didn't really love that experience very much because I was in an environment that, at the time, I didn't know was not good for me, or didn't really cultivate any sort of artistic drive at all, or whatever, or any other really. But that was my first play, and then later on in high school, I switched schools because Mom wanted me to take drama class, and that's why I went to Olive Branch, essentially, because they had one, and where I was going didn't have one. That's Mississippi for you, in some ways. Anyway, yeah, so I started doing drama there, and I fell in love with it, and we started taking shows to competitions, and at the state level, and we did pretty well, and I was getting, a lot of good roles. Kind of a long story, but I ended up auditioning for the program at Millsaps College, which is a prominent school in Mississippi. It's a little liberal arts school. But I did that on a whim, and I got a scholarship, and that's why I went to that school, and I wouldn't, I guess, be where I am today if I hadn't done that. I didn't end up majoring in it. My degree is in cultural anthropology, which I think in a lot of ways taught me more about people and about acting than any other academia. I think that the things that make me do what I do well is that study of people ethnographically, and experience with actually performing. You can read a book about acting, or you can work at it every day and do it for years and years, and I think that obviously the latter helps you learn a little bit better. But anyway, I did both, and so after that I went to the only not-for-profit professional theater in Mississippi and worked there for a year, and I got a little bit disillusioned about it because I wasn't making any money. I was starving. Literally I would live off of bologna and eggs for a week, because I felt embarrassed to ask for money. Because I chose what I wanted to do, I chose that path, But yeah, I had a weird experience with it, and then I ended up moving to DC, and had a few more really sort of discouraging experiences, and I graduated college at 21, and so it was just, I was not emotionally prepared, I think, for what it takes to be able to do this. Your skin has to be so thick. You have to be so tough, and I wasn't. So that sort of led up to that period where I just started doing sort of the work that I do to support myself with acting now. But that's sort of the long and short of how I got here. I think that the average actor will tell you, you get callbacks for maybe 1 in 10 if you're a good actor. Maybe a little more than that, and then actually land roles maybe 1 in 20. That's if you're good. That's if you're really good. So I didn't get picked for a lot of them, and that was something that I've still had to adjust to, in my 20s, is adjusting to the notion that you can't take not getting something personally, because it's not always about you or the job that you did or the audition. It's because your nose is too pointy, or your hair is too long, or you are just a little too tall or a little too short, or whatever. You don't have enough of a tan. But that happens more than half the time. That's why, 80% of the time. Anyway, that was kind of a tangent, but the Synetic was one of the first that I auditioned for, and I had no idea what I was getting into, none whatsoever. I read it was on a website that actors look up auditions on, Actors Center or something like that, and I saw it was an audition at the Kennedy Center for a name of a theater that I couldn't pronounce, and it was a movement audition, and I had no idea what that meant. They said, "Come prepared to move." I wore khaki pants and a button up. I probably looked like an idiot. but you know, I did a monologue, and I followed Ira, the choreographer, to what she sort of, like, her audition process was, which was just like sort of like isolation stuff, where you like move a shoulder up and down, and then like move your arm as you're moving your shoulder and stuff like that. She feels you out and see if you can do that kind of stuff. And luckily, I did okay with that, so that's why they let me come back. And I just worked really hard. Sometimes that's all it takes. This makeup that I'm wearing right now is for the character Oswald that I play in King Lear, which is a wordless show. There's no text, no dialogue at all. It's set to an original score of music, and it's set very much in a different, it's sort of a recreation of the story in its basic form, which actually Shakespeare stole this story from a much, much older story as well. So it's sort of like, it's interesting that we put a twist on a story that he put a twist on that's much, much older than Shakespeare. So that's pretty, you know, if you think about it that way, it's pretty cool. And we were nominated for, I think, like 15 Helen Hayes Awards. For every nomination that it was capable of getting, it got. And I think we won like 3 or 4 of them, one of them being ensemble, which was one that I won since I was part of the ensemble. I also won for their version of Othello, and I also that was another ensemble, Helen Hayes Best Ensemble. And then the first show that I ever did with them won a Helen Hayes Award, and it was a kids show. It won the first ever Helen Hayes Award for children's audiences, family audiences. So that was pretty awesome, to just jump right into the DC area theater scene, and my first show won a Helen Hayes Award. So I mean, that was incentive for me to stick around with these people and work hard.
I'll make you pay for this bestiality! No one will ever fall into your hands and be a dowry. You will be sacrificed over the grave of our dead hero Dara, and you will be his slave in the afterlife, to fetch his water and lace his sandals. Away. Hey, hold it.
It's complicated, first of all. I mean, I have a very difficult schedule to juggle all the time, because things are so relative and have to jump back and forth, and I have to answer to several different people, including myself. I have to remember that I need time off, and you know, I have to remember that I need rest, and I have to, you know, I have to remember that making money isn't more important than my sanity. But I juggle 3 jobs essentially. You know, when I moved to DC, I didn't really think that I was going to pursue acting as a profession. You know, it's something that I'd always loved, and you know, I'd always been pretty good at and had an affinity for, but it wasn't something that I, at that time, thought that I wanted. And pretty quickly I figured out that was not the case. And so I had to make an adjustment, but while I was here, it's sort of like I was getting my own back in case I ever did want to come back to it, because I was learning a new skill set. I was doing camera work and television technical work in the broadcast level, you know, with like Fox and with other people, you know, Voice of America and stuff like that. Basically getting my foot in the door in that industry, which has since helped me support myself. I mean, really doing that was a very smart decision, inadvertently, because I've been able to pay my bills and stay independent and support myself, and not have to like depend on other people to help me out, which a lot of actors, you'd be surprised, I'd say a very large percentage of them are completely dependent on someone else, whether it be their parents or a relative or some sort of like trust fund or the lottery. I don't know how they do it, but like to do it on your own is incredibly hard. I mean, it's and not even just on a regional level. I'm talking about people even on Broadway. I know for a fact that I've heard about Broadway actors that you know have to take unemployment checks and stuff like that, especially with the economy being the way it's been for the past 10 years, which is one of the reasons I didn't move to New York. I decided to stay here because the culture of theater in New York basically twisted on its head when the recession hit, and so many actors that had such amazing resumes and are like, you know, have been doing this for years and are just like off the charts, are like taking jobs that they wouldn't have taken before, and that means that actors like me who are a little bit younger and chomping at the bit get, you know, shoved aside. And that was part of the reason why I didn't want to move to New York. But you know, I wait tables too. I bartend. I do that as well, and I think that that's another skill set that I just decided to do because I need another skill set. I want a backup of a backup, which is smart because I'm the type of person that wants to do it on my own steam, and it just is something that helps me sleep at night. But it's, you know, it's really hard. You know, I do struggle for money a lot, and you know, in a way, I don't really care. I wish I didn't have to, but I'd do it anyway. It's one of those things where it's kind of like, you know, damn the torpedoes. I'm gonna do what I know is gonna keep me sane and make me happy. And if that means that you know, I'm not gonna be a millionaire, fine. I don't really care that much about money anyway. I do care about being able to get by and being comfortable. Who doesn't? But, you know, I think it's an understatement to say that this is not about the money. You know, and even though I do make money from it, and I think that any professional actor always will and always should. I mean, that's sort of the difference between a professional actor and someone who's not a professional, an amateur and a professional. Amateurs don't get paid, professionals do. But unfortunately, with the culture of America and the arts, there's just not a lot of money there, and so the actors that do get paid don't get paid very much. So yeah, moving forward with Synetic and being an actor and stuff like that, what I have coming up next, hopefully, is I'll be doing The Tempest, which is what they're planning on doing early next year, like in February, I think. But I'm also auditioning for grad schools coming up in January, and I'm preparing for that, which takes a lot of preparation. Actually, you have to get transcripts and letters of recommendation, obviously, and you know, you have to prepare a lot of monologues, a lot of pieces, and that's a tricky process. It can be. I don't know. It's sort of like you really have to work hard. It's like homework. I mean, you really have to work hard on it. And like, for me, I'm lucky because I obsess over things and I just think about it all the time. So if I'm working on something, I'm just kind of like thinking about it randomly all the time as my thoughts bounce from one thing to the next. But you know, so that's what I'm doing next. And most of the schools that I'm auditioning for are in New York because I just feel like that's a place that I need to go, and you know, I don't think I need to stay, but I think I need to go and live and experience it for a while, and you know, maybe I won't like it and then I'll move, but I feel like I could do well, and I have friends there. But for now, I'm planning on I just sort of take it one show at a time. As long as I stay on stage and keep working, I think that's the most important thing. You know, and you can only move forward from there if you work hard, and the people that you work with like and appreciate you, you know, and like working with you. That's the most important thing.